So even while we're doing love, I love you, it is also important to look at the family you want to marry into. Look at the partner. What is the partner bringing to the table? Either a male or a female, either your husband or the wife. What are they bringing to the table? It's very important. You don't want to marry somebody who's going to put all the financial burden on you. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to stress yourself out. But you want somebody who can also be, contribute their quota, to the family activities and expenditures. Very, very important. I see Mommy Anna joining. Thank you so much, Ma, for joining. I believe this is your first time. Yes. Thank you so much for joining, Ma.
You're welcome.
Yes, Ma. We're looking at traditional weddings and white wedding tonight. The difference and what is the importance of it. Which one should we actually do and which one shouldn't we do? So if at any point in time anybody wants to contribute, please let me know and I'll give you the floor to speak. Okay.
Should we raise hand if we want to talk? We raise hand or what?
Yes, Ma. So that I will know, then I will unmute you, Ma.
Okay, then.
Thank you, Ma. So before we decide on the wedding day, who am I marrying? What can they contribute to my life? If I have offspring through them, if I bring children into the world through them, what kind of children am I going to be bringing out? Sometimes we don't even select this partner based on what I've just said, physical appearance, but then psychologically it's in our head. You say a handsome man or a pretty woman, you're like, your senses tells you and accepts, calculates who and what kind of offspring you're going to be producing through this person, even though you're not thinking about it vividly like that, but it's there in your subconsciousness. Before we continue, I'm going to give the floor to Mommy Ann. Mommy Ann, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry I came late. Every time I just remember, so let me try and see.
Thank God for that. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. I just heard about traditional marriage and wedding.
White wedding.
Yeah, white wedding. Which one is important?
Yes, ma'am.
Because of the nature of our culture, I think first and foremost, tradition is the most key. I know wedding is like official, but traditionally, it's very, very important. Like where I come from, if you don't do traditional marriage, they don't call you wife. Yeah, they call you, they will say the father of your children. That is your husband. Because you did not do what you supposed to do properly, which is traditional marriage. Where white wedding comes from, it's now that white wedding is rampant, that they make it like tradition too. Those days is those Catholic is mandatory in the system of their own Christianity.
Okay.
After your traditional marriage, and you are not officially wedded in a Catholic church, you still have, they will look down on you that your husband did not do the right thing. And they will keep reminding you in the church that your husband have to marry you. Even if after the children, you still, you must, or you still need to be wedded. That is why during that wedding, because you've already have children before the wedding, you are not allowed white garments. I mean, to wear white.
Even after you've done the traditional?
No, traditional is normal. Traditional is before you get married, before you go to your husband's house, the family of the man have to come and seek your hand in marriage.
Yes, ma'am. So after you've done the traditional, the Catholic Church still will see
you have to do the wedding. Yeah.
Wow.
They see you that you've done your traditional marriage, but they will still remind you that you haven't done it properly because you've not wedded in the church. You understand me? Then you have to go the normal procedure to go for the wedding counseling, which take 6 weeks of going, coming, going, coming. The test, if you fail it, you have to redo it again until you and your husband pass before you can be wedded. You don't just go there and say, I want to wed. No, there is a procedure on it. So both are very, very important, but the most essential one I know in my culture is that traditional marriage. If you are not traditionally married, they will not regard your husband. That is, they will not, nobody will even say, hi, is your husband. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
So that's all I know about it.
Thank you so much. Do we then say that it's the Catholic Church that brought white wedding to our culture?
To my own knowledge, because I was born and brought up in a Catholic church, you know. So I know Anglican, they do wedding. I know other churches, they do wedding, but I cannot say much. I can only say my background, where I grew up from. You understand? Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's during the time the colonial masters came and showed us the Christianity. I don't know. I cannot talk what I don't know. I haven't researched properly about that. But all I know is that if you are a Catholic, you are mandatory to wed in the church. That is a Christianity form of wedding. Yes, Christianity form of wedding. Then that tradition has been existing long time ago, that you have to do traditional marriage. It wasn't buoyant like these days, like heavy party or those ones. No, the two families have to meet, and the people in the area will know when you are getting married, when they are taking you from your parents' house to the parents of the husband. It does not matter where the person comes from, even if it's not from your vicinity, but that traditional marriage need to be done.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much. With the explanation Mommy gave us, I think that it's not limited to Catholic churches anymore. Every church do that now. Yes. And it's also, there's this one also that's been introduced, which is the civil one, where you go to the court registry, and sometimes that is also being replaced with a white wedding. And before some people, they still do the traditional, they do the white wedding, and they still go for registry.
Yeah. Can I say something, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you know, I can say during my time or during the time those who are older than me, this registry, we have what we call local courts, you know, before this proper registry started, you know. When you get married, when you get traditionally married, then they will say to seal the oath, then you have to go to court. That court, that is what we call registry now. You understand me?
Okay, yes.
You have to go to court, and it will be maybe 4 or 6 people only. Then the court will give you a marriage certificate. You know, traditional marriage, there is no marriage certificate.
Yes.
But there is proof that you got married.
Maybe, because you have witnesses between the two families.
Yes. Up to now, there is no, maybe they start now, I don't know. But those days, no traditional marriage certificate, but there is a proof. If the man don't want to marry you anymore, then he will go to the local courts or local community to tell them, I don't want to marry anymore. Then they would say, if you don't want the marriage anymore, you know the next thing to do, which means the family of the woman have to return the bride price, you know?
Yes.
So, and that is why if you don't return the bride price, even if you marry to another man, is regarded as not married, because you haven't returned the old dowry. So another person cannot add another dowry on top of your head. So now that they make it, can I say, civilization or register, the way the English people put it, we have a court, it's called local court, where you can seal your marriage, where you can sign. But it wasn't pronounced. You know, a lot of things is, is on during our time, but it wasn't properly pronounced. There is a local call. And did you know that even with your white wedding marriage certificate as Catholic, is recognized everywhere? You can use it to the court of law. You can use it everywhere to stand, because it's a bond. Yeah, it's a bond between you and the man. So if you carry the Catholic marriage certificate to any embassy, is honored. Anywhere is honored. Yeah, you use it for your visa, you use it for everything. So as far you produce it, so it's well recognized, just like registered.
Thank you very much, Ma. Now, having said that, for different parts of the world, they have different type of weddings. And in every part of the world, their own style of wedding is their traditional wedding.
Yes.
For people in India, the way they do their wedding is their traditional wedding. For people in Cuba, there's some parts of the world where you have to pay to dance with the bride. There are some parts of the world where they test your physical strength. They make you go through vigorous physical tests, maybe to pull a bull, you know, a lot of things to see, can you sustain this marriage? For some, they try your patience. There's one, maybe they'll ask the couples, can you mute yourself, Sister Betty? Thank you for joining me. For some, they might ask you to, both of you, to sweep the floor, and they'll throw things at you to see your endurance. Can you be patient with one another? Different things. But the unique thing about it is that in all the method of doing it, it is called traditional wedding.
Yes.
And that brings me to Europe, to England and Europe and the white wedding people. They are the one that own white wedding.
Yeah.
And I believe that the white wedding is also their traditional wedding. That is the way they, and there's, I don't know, there was when I was reading, I can't find it anymore, where it explains the reason why they use the veil, the reason why they use the ring, the reason why they wear the white dress, the reason why they use flour, the reason for cake. It comes even from the time of the Mesopotamians. It came with different reason, and it's graduated in increase and increase and increase. Just like we have in Africa, why there is a reason why they use the kola nut.
Yes, that is tradition.
Yes, tradition. There's a reason why they use palm wine.
Yeah.
And for some, they will ask you maybe to buy a sewing machine for your wife.
Yes.
And and with time, they add to it.
Yeah.
And then as you bring some bottle of alcohol to your father's, to the bride's family and all that. That is our tradition.
Yeah.
But then in Europe, their tradition is the white wedding.
Yes, we don't have another one, only white wedding.
Yes, so at the end of the day, what we are having, we are repeating the same wedding. We done traditional wedding and then you do white wedding. It's the same thing. That's the way I see it, though.
Yeah, and plus court marriage.
Plus, and at the end of the day, this is also scaring a lot of people from getting married because they think of the expenses.
Yes.
Before I do traditional and then I go to court and then I do white, and it's like, I beg, let us postpone and postpone and postpone, But then if we would embrace our culture, traditional wedding is traditional wedding.
Yeah.
And it ends there. But because of, what's it called now? You need evidence, proof of your wedding in today's society. I would say even if at all you need a documented one, then we can do registry. This is my take. You can do registry so that you have it signed, you have it written, documented, and then you have proof of date and time and all that. But the moment we do white, traditional and all, I think it's a bit too much. It's a bit too much, and it's scaring a lot of people from getting married. Mommy Keshiro says, in church wedding, you are making an oath between the husband and the wife. Yeah, but even when you do traditional wedding too, when both families are there, it is also an oath. They break kola nut, the both of you eat it, or is it bitter cola, or even if it's wine, you drink from the same cup, palm wine, you both drink from the same cup. That is an oath. So, and the Bible makes us to understand that where two or three are gathered, he is in their midst. You know, in their midst. So even if it's in the family, in the living room, like where I am at the moment, even if it's in a living room, the presence of the Lord is there. Where there are 2 or 3 witnesses, a truth is established. So even if it's traditional wedding you have, God has witnessed it. God has blessed it. You have made an oath. And in the midst of the traditional wedding, both parties' parents, they pray for them, they bless them in whichever language or whichever God they believe in that they call. They pray for them, you prosper in your wedding, you have children, and all. They bless you as much as they can. You know, so what is the essence of us having 2, 3 marriages, wedding ceremonies? Are we copying other people's culture, other people's tradition, or do we just feel like spending money? Is there no chance of liberating people from this bondage of expenses, and they can have a blissful wedding as small as they can have it, and then enjoy their matrimonial life? I want more comments and contribution, please. Facebook, Zoom.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. In reality, we are copying the Western world, one, and the way we are doing it, I don't think it's going to stop because it's what is trending now. And these young ones, their own way of their wedding is just the
competition.
Even in Nigeria, well, we are not talking about Europe, we are talking about general, because what is happening here is also happening in Nigeria. So for them to cut it, it's going to be another generation when things will change. For now, I don't think anybody can do anything. Even before you think of giving advice, they've already done their plan. So, yeah, before you think of, okay, they say, don't worry, mom, we are fine. They've done their own thing by themselves, and really, really is going to come out, wow. So in a way, I don't think now anybody can do anything about it. It's what is in trend.
Thank you very much. Which is another point there. Is it about what is trending, or is it about what we want to enjoy? I mean, there is nothing wrong if you have money and you want to spend and make your wedding the talk of the town. I am not against that.
That is not only because you have money, because it's what is in trend. That is why the young ones, they take their time, save their money, talk about the wedding, take their time. They don't just meet today and say they are getting married. No, when they agree that the 2 of them want to live together, then it takes them time to put their money together and get ready. Even before you know, they want to YouTube, they have website to go, they know what to go for, they know what to do. So they don't rush marriage because we've been together for a longer time, or we just met, or we just did this. They take their time in what they are doing. So what I'm trying to say is what is trending. It's not because they have the money, they will save for the money when they are ready. Yeah.
Wow. That's how I wasn't expecting that. So they don't mind how long it's going to take them. They will save up.
Yeah, they are not rushing.
That's the end thing. Wow.
Yeah, they are not rushing. When they really want to be together, they save towards it. They talk about it. They let the family know. They let, and you when they want to say this is what we want. So it's just for you to support and check what they are doing and see, well, you don't interrupt. They will do their own way. Yeah.
So interaction is not even welcomed.
No, they will do
If
it
you
in
try
their
to
own way.
interrupt, they sidetrack you and just
Because it's like a community. They know where to go. They know how to dig it. They know what to. Yeah.
Sorry, man, that was me.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's in form of what is trending. You know, so many things have changed now, the way they saw it. We don't know how all these things come about, but it just come and they follow up, you know. So it's not really because they have the money. They want to be together. That is number one priority. They want to be together. And they just want to do it in a proper way. So in a proper way, it's not cheap. Whether they have
Which
the
is
money.
proper way, which is not proper. If you decide you don't want to do white wedding, you just want to do the traditional wedding, and then you want to go to the courts and get some paper to prove that you're married, is that not proper enough?
Yeah. Because what is going on is that most of the youths, they have their own youth church. They have their own
youth ministry, yes.
Ministry. They have their own youth something, what they are doing, youth. And at the end of the day, all the youth, they wed. So yours cannot be different from others, since you all are in youth ministry. And they support each other, they help each other. I can't go deep much about monetary aspect, but all I know is that they are youth, they coordinate themselves, you know, when they are ready. Even before they tell you, before they come to you to say, this is our plan, they've already done it outside behind you, because that is their system now. So I don't say because they have the money, it's something trading. I keep on saying it. They don't want to do one and leave one, because they say traditional marriage is for parents. Yeah, that is what they do. They say traditional marriage is for parents, where because they know you, they have to bring this, bring that. They say that is parents. But you see that white wedding, it's theirs.
That is their own to have all the fun they can have.
Yes. So it's quite different. Things have changed a lot. So that's how we see it.
Thank you very much, Ma. Another point I'm raising on this is this, or point I'm actually trying to also encourage people with is this: do not be downcasted if you choose just to have the traditional wedding. Do not be downcasted if you do not have, because in as much as Mommy Anne is saying it's not really about money and it's about what is trending. We still have people out there because they want to do what is trending, but they can't afford it. And for that reason, you know, they delay the process of marriage. For that reason, they delay moving forward, you know, with their plans and relationship. So I'm just going to encourage anyone who's been able to come across this video that if you do not have the money to do what is trending, then do what is good for you and your partner. You know, come together. You can still have a beautiful wedding without trending. But if you want to trend, like Mommy said, take your time, save your money. But at the end of the day, is it about the trending or is it about the life after the wedding? That's another topic entirely. Sister Betty said very true that what Mommy Ann said, I said is true. It's all about trending and trending and trending. So what do we not do if, like you said, youths want to do this the other way and disbelieve the traditional wedding is for the old schools? What if they choose just to have the white wedding or court wedding, which certifies them as being married before the eyes of God and before the eyes of man, and they choose not to do the traditional wedding? How do we balance that up?
No, because it depends on upbringing.
Okay.
Our children knows that we have a culture. You understand? Even if sometimes they pretend as if they don't know what we're talking about, they knows we have a culture. And that culture is where the traditional marriage comes from. So the both couples know that there is something called traditional marriage. So that is why when they come, they will say, how do we go about the traditional marriage? You understand me? So they know there is something called traditional marriage. They know it, both male, both female. They know it. We try teach them. Even something self, you don't teach them. They check online, they read everything online. They don't ask too much questions these days.
That's true. That's true.
They don't ask too much questions these days. You know, sometimes you say, before you open your mouth, they will tell you what you want to say. And they will tell you they've read it, they've seen it, they've checked. They will tell you. So they know about it, that traditional marriage is just to make the parents happy that they did what they're supposed to do. You understand me? They know that the traditional marriage, that is why they say traditional marriage is for parents, just to satisfy them, just to make them happy that they did the right thing, what is supposed to be done. So,
like what Mommy Keshiro is saying here on Facebook, that some people believe if you have not done church wedding, you have not wedded yet. Wow. Well, it's all about your belief, about standard, about what you want anyway. It's all about that. But my point is I'm still hammering on this one point, because I've come across few people who will say, we don't have the money, we don't have the money, we don't have the money, you know. And some also believe that it's not really about the wedding, but it's about the marriage. Wedding is 1 day, 2 days, maximum 1 week. But the marriage life is forever, as God gives you the grace, you know, to be with one another. So I'm just really, really encouraging anyone out there, if you cannot do the trending, do you. At the end of the day, it's all about you. It's not about Facebook. It's not about Instagram. It's about you. Sister Betty, do you want to say something? You've unmuted yourself.
Sorry, it's a mistake.
Thank you. Though you wrote, let me read what Sister Betty said here. Because they want the trending one, they also want the traditional marriage. And because that is for the parent, then the church one is for the world. I don't know. I'm finding it a little bit conflicting in my brain. I don't know why. It's simple, but I'm struggling with it in my brain. Why we have to do something or anything because for the world, we won't have to do something for people to see and celebrate us, you know? I don't know. I'm struggling with that a little bit. Any more contributions, additions on traditional wedding versus white wedding? I have all our mommies in the house. They no young want to speak. Ha 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 ha. Even Mommy Anna speaking for them anyway. Mommy Keshiro, any contributions on that? I don't know what happened to my guest. She is not here. Any more contribution from anyone?
Or any suggestion, if no contribution, suggestion.
Yeah, addition, subtraction. Mommy Antonia, thank you, ma. Yes, ma, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much, Mommy. And you know, that's some quite deep contribution and very enlightening. For the first time, some of the things she mentioned about Roman Catholic, although I was born into Roman Catholic, but I was never married into one. So therefore, some of the examples she mentioned and the traditions in Catholic Church kind of, was like, wow, is this for real? So I mean, it's a lot of lesson learned from her contribution, and also the traditional that she mentioned, that even though in her time, or maybe after her time, when they married traditionally, then they still go to court, but like a local court that is like binding.
I didn't even know that existed back then.
I never knew myself. So it was like an eye-opener. I said, wow, okay, that's new. That's something new. That's something to know and something to, to learn and, just for keepsake. She mentioned briefly about the court wedding, which is the white wedding we'll get to here in abroad. I think is a borrowed tradition. I would call it tradition. It's a borrowed thing, and it's a tradition for the Western world, and it's mostly because of, for some of us that are over here, because that's their own tradition. That is what they see as legally binding. Although in some cases, if you do have to go to court and you say, okay, you married traditionally, they still hold it dear to heart that, yes, that's our tradition, that's what we do, and they recognize it. But in terms of our children, their own thing is we have to go to court. That's what is legally binding. And it's because of a lot of civilization, that is been, and the awareness that we have now, because if your marriage is not going the way you want it to go, especially our children, the only way for clear demarcation or separation or divorce, it will be to go via court. And hence we will find out that this court white wedding thing is very dear to our children. That's what they hold to heart. That's what they think is the best thing. Traditional, like Mommy Ann says, it's for the parents. The parents just want to do their own their own wedding. That's for them. But for our children, the court thing, the white wedding is what is very dear to their heart, very popular to them. And like she mentioned as well, they know how to get all these things, because I have a friend's daughter whose mom is demised now, or parents. She went online and she got her own ashoke. She got this, she got that. And then she asked the aunties, well, you need to get yourself together. My mom is not here. I want to do traditional. And we did it. So there's so much enlightening because of the internet and all whatnot that we have these days. So, so it's a different ballgame when it comes to our children, because of the civilization and where we are, where we find ourselves. Something is gone quiet. I don't know if anyone can hear.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I said thank
you now,
Mommy Ayeni, for that. For the first time you spoke, you're always hiding in the corner. Thank you for speaking tonight. And Mommy Keshinro says, if you have the money, you can do both, but it's not compulsory. Okay, I'm going to read one or two things about the origin of marriage. I think I still have a few more minutes. The origin of marriage dates back to 23,000 years. Not marriage started from foundation of creation, but from what has been documented about 23,000 years ago, when the hunter-gatherers became farmers, and gender roles around the household started to form. Males became responsible for gathering food, while females stayed at home to rear children. Those marriages soon became necessary as a way to ensure the survival of their offspring. But with time, as we evolve, changes came about. As we become more civilized, if I use the word, things changed, and the purpose, is also a little bit diluted, if I can say. Now, the reason why the veil for the white wedding, where they put on a veil to cover the bride's face. We all do it, but we don't know the foundation of it, the history behind it. And I'm telling you, it's quite interesting to know. And this wedding tradition dates back to the origin of arranged marriages. Traditionally, the groom's family would not allow him to see the bride until the wedding day. And this is because if he didn't like her looks, there was a chance that he would not agree to marry her. Therefore, the veil was used to conceal the bride's appearance up until the moment in which they were to be married. That's trickish. That's cheating. That one will not happen today. I have to see what I'm buying. And there's this one, oh, let me jump to wedding cake. Since cakes represent fertility, ancient Romans would bake wheat cakes and break them over the bride's head. Soon it became customary to stack these wheat cakes on one on top of the other. Like we have cakes now, it's not always one, maybe 2, 3 layers. And the bride and the groom were challenged to kiss over the tower without knocking the cake over. If successful, they will enjoy a lifetime of good fortune as a couple. Wow. Some people even till now still do tying of the knots, where they tie a knot, the couples hold their hands together. Even some churches do it, and then they tie a ribbon to bind them together physically. And that started from the Roman age. A common custom was to tie the bride and groom's hands together. And during the ceremony, the couple could not be released until the marriage was official. And this is a tradition that's referred to as hand fasting, and it's a common practice amongst various cultures around the world. Wedding ring. The circle represents eternity because it doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's round. During ancient times, women would wear rings made of papyrus around their wrists and ankles. Romans then began to substitute the material with iron, which ultimately led to the use of gold to make the first betrothal ring. The tradition of a diamond engagement ring was started by Archduke Maximilian of Austria when he proposed to Mary of Burgundy. Like circles, diamonds have long been considered as symbols of eternity because they are the hardest gems on earth. The placement of the ring on the fourth finger came from the Egyptians, who believed that it was the finger that contained the vein that connects to the heart. So if the ring is inserted on the middle finger, it's symbolizing that the ring is connected to your heart. Interesting. But we didn't know that. We just follow. And then there's the one of flower girl. The age-old wedding tradition of a flower girl stems from an ancient Roman tradition where young virgins would carry sheets of wheat, which was believed to bring on well-being and good fortune to the newlyweds. Over time, the sheets of wheat have been replaced with flowers that are scattered along the paths that lead up to the altar. So you see, as time goes on, things were improved, things were changed, substituted with something else, but the culture still stayed. The tradition still stayed. Okay, let me be quick. The bridesmaids. In ancient Rome, the purpose of having bridesmaids at a wedding was to protect the bride. The bridesmaid would each wear the same dress as the bride in order to confuse the evil spirits and prevent them from finding her. As a result, the couple would avoid being cursed on their wedding day. But now it's good to know. But now the bridesmaid, what they wear is different from the bride. We do things, we don't even know why we do them. Let me jump to honeymoon. The tradition of going on a honeymoon after a wedding dates back to the 5th century, when cultures represented the calendar time in moon circles. Once married, a newlywed couple would drink mead, an alcoholic beverage made of honey, a tradition that would take place during the first moon of marriage. So it is drinking of honey on the first moon that became honeymoon. So they take a drink. Let me take that again. Once married, a newlywed couple would drink mead, M-E-A-D, an alcoholic beverage made of honey, a tradition that would take place during their first moon of marriage. So if they got married today, the first moon, they go under the moon and drink the drink. So that is their honey under the moon. Interesting. Do I jump? Ring bearer. The ring bearer. During Victorian times, a page boy was responsible for carrying a bride's train down the aisle along with a prayer book. At the same time, Victorians began to place the ring on the small pillows as a display of their wealth. I mean, for you to have gold, you have money. This is because pillows used to be very expensive and were luxury items that only the elite members of society could afford. Eventually, it became the page boy's responsibility to carry the ring pillow down the aisle, and it's a tradition that has evolved into the ring bearer that we are familiar with today. Wow. History. Let me read one last one and we end it for the day. And that is the gift registry. The origin of the wedding registry dates back to 1924 at a Marshall Fitz store in Chicago, also known as a bridal registry. It was a way for the couple to choose their fine china and silver for their big day. Soon, the idea spread across the country and was popularized in the retail industry to include wedding gifts for the couple. Whether you are planning your wedding ceremony or reception, attending one soon, or just want to learn more about the history of marriage, you are sure to be surprised by how much of these wedding traditions have changed since they've originated, which is what Mommy is saying now. So even white wedding ceremony is now not because of the purpose or the reason behind it, but it's more of trending. Somebody starts something new. Oh, it's nice the way it's done, and then we flow to it. And then it goes on and on and on and on like that. Sister Betty says it goes to confirm wickedness do exist on wedding days. And that is why they are trying to convince the wicked ones by using veil. The one of the wicked one has to do with the bridesmaid, where the bridesmaid and the bride wear the same clothes. So they don't know who is the bride, who is not the bride, to confuse people. If people want to plan to do evil to the bride. And then the one for the veil has to do with to deceive the man, actually, just in case he changes his mind that, this woman is ugly, I can't marry her. So they cover her face up until the whole thing has been signed and sealed and done. Then you now open and say, is this what I paid for? You know. But then, as Auntie Betty said, that also struck me when I read it. When we talk about evil amongst people, among humans, it didn't start today. It started from
ages.
Cain and Abel, brothers, and so we will always have them amongst us. So even when you're planning wedding, or people planning wedding or your children, you are extra careful, you are praying, you are fasting, you are being watchful for them, because you know why? There might be evil eyes watching them. So if it's back then, and even it is not noted significantly all around the world. So it's not peculiar to us Africans, and narrow it down to Nigerians. They're always thinking negative. Why are you always thinking that bad or somebody is looking? No, it's there. So that's why as Christians or religious people, you need to pray to protect your family, your children, even during such huge events. We've heard of stories where people will get married, maybe on their way to the wedding ceremony, they will have accident, they will die. We've heard of stories of being kidnapped before the wedding day or even after. You know, you don't know who is watching, you don't know who is planning evil for you. So in whatever celebration you're having, we also need to have that at the back of our mind, not for fear, but to commit it to the hands of God. It's been a beautiful night, and I'm really, really, really grateful to Mommy Ann.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining tonight. Mommy Antonia, thank you for joining. Sister Betty, thank you for joining. Damilola joined in and ran away. Thank you for joining. Sister, I don't know if it's Sister Samal or if it's Brother Samal, but I don't know if it's a he or a she, but whoever you are, God knows you better than myself. Thank you so much for joining. Sister Keshin Ro, Mommy Keshin.